Part 25. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 241. Chapter 241 Waiting for News. Lu Ning thought about it. The two adults must also hope that they can live in harmony. Besides, it is just an ordinary photo. Thinking of this, she said to Song Tingzi, "Then you can send me one later." He just admitted that she is his sister in front of Yushu, and he thinks that everyone will know it soon. Since he regards himself as a family member, he should also try to integrate into them and re-examine his relationship with them. Okay, Song Tingzi couldn't help but curled his lips when he heard the words, "It's getting late, let's go back if we walk further ahead." After returning to the hotel from Xiangshan, until the next day, Lu Ning found that Lu Xian was uncharacteristically not sending her a message all night. She couldn't help but smile when she thought that the guy was so aggressive that she was not allowed to go out with Song Tingzi. Could it be that she took the initiative to send a message to that guy, but I don't know whether the other person didn't see it or deliberately ignored her. In short, there was no reply until noon. There were no exams the next day. There was only an academic report at 9 o'clock. There was no need to get up early. Everyone had breakfast at 8:30 and gathered at the door of the hotel to go to number 4 middle school. Lu Ning didn't see Yushu until she got in the car. He probably didn't have a good rest last night and had thick dark circles on his face. When he saw Lu Ning, his expression was complicated. He only glanced at her and then looked away. She didn't take the initiative to cause trouble, and Lu Ning didn't bother to pay attention to her. During the academic report, Song Tingzi saw that she kept looking at her mobile phone and couldn't help but asked, "What's wrong? Are you waiting for news?" No. Lu Ning put away her phone and said, "The closing ceremony is over tomorrow, are you going back?" "What's wrong? Do you want to stay for 2 more days?" Lu Ning said, "I was thinking that the day after tomorrow and the day after tomorrow happens to be a weekend. It's a rare occasion to come here. I was wondering if I could visit other places and prepare some gifts for everyone." "Song Tingzi, we were brought out by the team leader. In principle, we are not allowed to leave the team without permission. However, if you really want to stay for 2 more days, I can stay with you. I can talk to the team leader then and we should be able to accommodate. I can be alone, you don't have to stay with me specially," Lu Ning said. Song Tingzi glanced at her and said, "The team leader and Aunt Tang will not be worried if you stay alone in Yunjing. If I stay with you, they will be more likely to agree." Lu Ning couldn't help but be silent for a moment, and had to admit that what the other party said was the truth. "Would this disrupt your plan?" Lu Ning asked. Song Tingzi said warmly, "When I go back, I will read and review. As the saying goes, it is better to travel thousands of miles than to read thousands of books. Yunjing is a city with rich historical and cultural heritage. It is also good to walk more and see more. Beneficial. Okay, let's go find the team leader later and try together." Lu Ning said nothing more after hearing this. "By the way, I heard that Yunjing University is also nearby. Have you ever wanted to go and have a look?" Song Tingzi then asked. As the number 1 university, Yunjing University is the place that all students aspire to. It's just that Lu Ning has always regarded Nanda as his goal. As for Yunjing University, if she wants to take the exam, she has no chance at all, but Nanda is closer to home, and she can go home at any time. End of this chapter. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 242. Chapter 242 Planting a Thorn. It's not because she loves home, but because there are only her and Ms. Tang Li in that family. If she went too far, she would be left with the other person alone, and she was worried. But now that the other party has Uncle Song, she doesn't necessarily need her. However, thinking of the agreement she had made with someone, Lu Ning said, I won't go. She was afraid that her original intention would be shaken after going to see it. Lucien was angry because the girl actually went out with the boy named Song and hung up on him. He didn't reply to her message. He wanted to wait for her to send it later and then reluctantly forgive her. Who would have thought that after waiting and waiting, that girl actually didn't send a single message? Lucien was angry and helpless. Knowing that the girl would be back on Friday, he went to pick her up at night. In the end, I only saw Yushu. Lucien had met each other in school before and had some impressions, but he didn't know the other person's name. He only knew that Lu Ning and the others went to Yunjing this time, and that the other party was one of them. Seeing that she was the only one coming out, she couldn't help but stepped forward to stop her and said, "Hello, classmate, I would like to ask why you are the only one? Where are the others?" Yushu recognized Lucien at a glance. Although the two had not spoken before, Yushu was no stranger to him because of Lu Ning's relationship. "You want to ask Lu Ning, right? She hasn't come back at the closing ceremony in the afternoon. All three of them won awards, but Song Tingzi and Lu Ning both won gold awards, and she was the only one who won the bronze award. The three of them came from the same school, and they all joined the provincial team together, but she was outranked, which she couldn't accept. Especially when she thought of Lu Ning still holding the evidence that she secretly changed pens, and not knowing what the outcome would be waiting for her, her heart was tormented. Seeing Lucien at this moment, the hatred for Lu Ning emerged in his heart again. "Not back? Why? Isn't the winter camp over?" Lucien frowned. Yushu said, "It's over, but she and Song Tingzi stayed alone. As for the reason, I heard that they went to the team leader privately, hoping to stay for 2 more days. Maybe they wanted to take this opportunity to go on a date alone." "What are you talking about?" Lucien's expression changed instantly. "I'm not talking nonsense. If you don't believe me, look at it." Yushu took out her mobile phone, which contained photos and videos she had taken secretly in the past few days, including Lu Ning's sprained leg and Song Tingzi supporting her, as well as Song Tingzi at the door of Lu Ning's room at night, and the two a scene of people eating together. Her heart was full of malice, but with a smile on her face she said, "Aren't they a good match?" Lucien's eyes fell on those photos, and the more he looked at them, the more gloomy they became. Yushu smiled and was about to put away the phone and said, "Look, I didn't lie to you. They have a good relationship. Maybe they are dating somewhere now." As for Song Tingzi's statement that the two were brothers and sisters, she didn't believe it anyway. Judging from Lucien's reaction, he probably didn't know the relationship between the two. "I heard that his house and Lu Ning's house were right next to each other. If those two were really brother and sister, how could he not know? So that person was really lying to her." Yu Shuhan was proud that she had planted a thorn between Lucien and Lu Ning. She didn't believe that the other party knew that the girl was dating another boy alone in the hotel and would continue to like him, but she heard Lucien say, "Give me your phone." The smile on Yushu's face froze. She frowned, stared at the other person defensively and said, "What do you want to do?" End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is sweet and wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 243. Chapter 243. How about we cooperate? Didn't anyone tell you that taking secret photos is illegal? What do you want to do with these photos? Lucien was indeed very angry. After seeing the photos of Lu Ning and Song Tingzi together, especially after hearing that they were alone when he was in Yunjing, his anxiety, restlessness, suspicion and jealousy almost overwhelmed his reason. But after calming down, he soon discovered the ulterior motives of the girl opposite. He didn't believe that the other party didn't know about his relationship with Lu Ning, but he deliberately showed him those photos and said some specious words in front of him. It was clearly a deliberate attempt to sow discord between him and that girl. No matter what, it must be malicious. Moreover, the other party actually took so many photos secretly while the girl wasn't paying attention. What on earth did he want to do? He even saw a photo just now of a strange boy standing at the door of the girl's room carrying something. Unfortunately, it was a bit far away, and it was just a side face. He couldn't see the specific appearance of the other person, but he was sure. Is it Song Tingzi? No matter what the other party wants to do, if these photos are spread, it will definitely have a bad impact on the girl. No matter what, he couldn't let the other party keep these photos. Yushu did not expect that after seeing those photos, the first reaction of the other party was not to be angry, but to pursue her for secretly taking the photos. It was simply sick. The licking dog does not lick like this. Yushu subconsciously put her phone in her pocket and said, "This is my business and has nothing to do with you." If she just deleted the photos she finally took, wouldn't it be an advantage to that girl? Isn't that girl going to give the video of her pen change to the school? Then she will release these photos when the time comes. If she is not good, then no one can think about it. But Lu Xian grabbed his wrist and said, "I advise you to hand it over honestly. Your behavior has been suspected of infringing on other people's privacy rights. If I call the police now, when the police come, they will ask you to delete it, and there may also be a criminal record." Yushu was so angry that she glared at her and gritted her teeth. "Lu Xian, you like Lu Ning, right? But you don't know whether he likes her or not. You defend her like this, but she only cares about being with other boys. Don't you think she likes her? Aren't you angry?" "This is my business." After Lu Xian said this, he took away her phone. Yushu could only watch as he deleted the photos she had worked so hard to secretly take one by one in front of her. While deleting the photos, Lu Xian discovered that the other party had secretly taken many photos of Song Tingzi. He couldn't help but glance at Yushu, who turned red, pursed her lips, and turned her head to the side. However, Lu Xian skipped those photos and only returned the phone to the other party after confirming that there were no photos of Lu Ning in them. When Yushu saw the undeleted photos of Song Tingzi, her eyes flashed, and then she looked at Lu Xian and said, "I believe you have guessed it, I like Song Tingzi, and you like Lu Ning. Why don't we two cooperate?" Sample. "How do you want to cooperate?" Lu Xian asked. Hearing this, Yushu was secretly happy, thinking that the other party had agreed, and then said, "It's very simple, you help me chase Song Tingzi, and I will help you chase Lu Ning, and find ways to reduce the chance of them meeting and getting along." Lu Xian couldn't help but sneered when he heard this. "It seems that you don't know anything at all, yet you dare to say that you like him. What do you mean?" Yushu frowned. End of this chapter. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 244. Chapter 244, Not Used to His Bad Temper. "It's simply impossible for you to reduce the chance of the two of them meeting," Lu Xian said. "That girl now lives in the Song family, under the same roof, and they see each other morning and night. There is no way she can stop her even if she wants to. Also, if I like someone, I will pursue it honestly and on my own merits, and I won't bother using the same methods as you." After Lu Xian finished speaking, he turned and left. But she was afraid that Yushu would lie to her, so she still called Lu Ning before leaving the airport. The phone rang a few times before being answered. "Where are you now?" Lu Xian asked. "Still in Yunjing. What's wrong?" After Lu Ning finished speaking, she realized that she seemed to have forgotten to tell him that she was going to stay in Yunjing for 2 more days. This guy couldn't have gone to the airport to pick him up, right? "It's okay." Before Lu Ning could speak again, the other party hung up the phone. Lu Ning couldn't help frowning as she looked at her phone. That guy called specifically to confirm where she was? After thinking about it, I couldn't help but make a call, but it rang for a long time but no one answered. Thinking about the fact that the guy didn't reply to her message before because she went out with Song Tingzi, and now he hung up on her directly. She took the initiative to call him but didn't answer, and her temper became worse and worse. Lu Ning decided not to tolerate his bad temper. She didn't want to pick up the fight, but she still didn't fight. Originally, he planned to visit some famous scenic spots in Yunjing the next day, but because of Lu Xian's phone call last night, Lu Ning had strange insomnia at night. The next day the whole person seemed to have no energy. "Are you okay?" Song Tingzi kept looking at Lu Ning while eating breakfast. "I'm fine, I just didn't sleep well last night," Lu Ning said, rubbing her sore forehead. "Song Tingzi, I see that you don't look good. If you don't feel well, don't go out. Stay in the hotel and have a good rest." "But, I originally planned to visit nearby attractions." Lu Ning frowned slightly. She deliberately stayed for 2 more days so as not to waste this opportunity and wanted to see more. "If you stay in the hotel to rest, wouldn't you waste the whole day in vain? If this is the case, it is better to go back last night. There will always be opportunities in the future, but your health is still important," Song Tingzi said. "You can stay in the hotel to rest in the morning. If you just haven't had a good rest, you should be fine after a nap. When you feel better in the afternoon, you won't go out again." "Late." "Okay," Lu Ning didn't insist anymore, and then looked at Song Tingzi. "I can just stay in the hotel and rest alone, and you can go around the area as planned. It's rare to come here once, and it's not good because I miss this opportunity." "That's fine." Song Tingzi didn't want to increase the burden on her heart, so he nodded in agreement. Lu Ning went back to her room to catch up on her sleep after breakfast, but she slept until the afternoon. After Lu Ning woke up, she no longer thought about which attractions to visit. As Song Tingzi said, there will always be opportunities in the future. "I just asked about it with the hotel staff, and then went nearby to buy some Yunjing specialties, planning to bring them back to everyone tomorrow." Song Tingzi visited her once before dinner and was relieved to see that she was fine. In the evening, the two of them did not dine at the hotel, but went to a nearby night market to experience the snacks in Yunjing, and also walked around nearby. Early the next morning, the two packed their luggage and took a plane back to Nanjing. End of this chapter. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 245. Chapter 245 Cold War. Uncle Lee came to pick them up at the airport. When he saw the two of them, he smiled and said, "Congratulations, young master and young lady. I heard that you two won the award." Mr. Song and his wife went out to buy groceries and cook them at home early in the morning. They said they wanted to cook for them. "You celebrate." "Thank you, Uncle Lee, let's go back quickly." After getting off the car, Lu Ning took out a special product she bought in Yunjing and handed it to Uncle Lee and said, "Thank you for taking care of me during this period. This is a special product I brought back from Yunjing. I hope Uncle Lee won't dislike it." Uncle Lee took it with a smile. "Thank you, miss, for thinking about me." Lu Ning not only prepared gifts for Uncle Lee, but also for Song Wanzhou, Tang Li, Zhang Ma, and Ji Shu and Lu Yu. The family had a lively meal together at noon, and in the afternoon Uncle Lee drove her to the Lu family home. Due to the weekend, Ji Shu and Lu Yu were both there, but Lu Xian was nowhere to be seen. The other party didn't go out. Instead, he locked himself in the room. He knew Lu Ning was coming but didn't go out. "But I kept my ears open and paying attention to the situation outside." He was still angry because Lu Ning and Song Tingzi were left alone in Yunjing. He thought that if he showed off his angry and Cold War attitude and left her alone, the girl would realize her mistake and take the initiative to apologize. As a result, I waited and waited, but there was no movement at all from the other party. On the contrary, it gradually became quiet outside. I didn't hear the girl's voice for a long time. Lucien finally lost his composure, opened the door and walked out. As a result, Lu Yu and Jishu were the only ones in the living room, but the specialties that the girl brought back from Yunjing were placed on the table, proving that the other party had indeed been here. Lucien looked around and didn't find the girl. He couldn't help but ask, "Where is she?" "Who are you asking?" Jishu asked knowingly. She had already noticed that something was wrong between the two little guys. Before, the brat wanted to hang around Ningyetu 24 hours a day. This time when the girl came home, the brat actually deliberately took advantage of Jiao and locked himself in the room. Now that the person has left, he knows he is anxious. "I'm asking about that girl," Lucien said with a dark face. "I have never seen a biological mother like this, as if she wished her son was not good." "You mean Ning girl?" "She's already gone," Jishu said calmly. "Although I don't know why the two of them are in conflict, with the brat's big heart, if she were a lemon girl, she wouldn't spoil him." Hearing this, Lucien's face suddenly turned from white to green, and then from green to black. It changed several colors in an instant. The whole person was so angry that he was speechless. What does stinky girl mean? Doesn't she know what she did was wrong? It was okay not to take the initiative to apologize to him, but he just left like that. He was so angry. Lucien's face turned darker and darker, and finally he hurried back to the room angrily and slammed the door loudly. Lu Yu glanced at Jishu next to him and said, "Did this guy have a fight with Ningyetu?" Jishu snorted coldly and said, "I guess it's most likely that your son is fighting a unilateral Cold War. A big boy has no bearing at all, and he actually waits for other girls to coax him. I think this boy is destined to be single." Lu Yu smiled and said, "Not necessarily. When your son meets Ningyetu, he has met his nemesis. I guess he won't be able to hold on for long." As soon as he finished speaking, the door that had just been closed opened again, and Lucien walked out of it with a dark face. Go straight to the gate. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is sweet and wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 246. Chapter 246. Isn't this enough? Lucien came out of the community and went straight to the platform, but the platform was empty and Lu Ning was nowhere to be seen. Lucien frowned, and the aura around him became slower and slower visibly. "Are you looking for me?" At this moment, the backseat window of a black car parked on the roadside rolled down, revealing Lu Ning's pure and lustful face. Lucien stiffened, then turned to look at the other party as if nothing had happened and said, "Who said I was looking for you? I was just getting ready to go out and happened to pass by here." "Oh. That's it," Lu Ning said, then looked away, sat up straight, looked at Uncle Li in the driver's seat in front of him and said, "Uncle Li, let's go back." "Okay." Uncle Li glanced at the young man outside the window and responded with a smile. "Miss Lu Ning has been waiting for this guy outside for so long." The next second, Lucien rushed over quickly, opened the backseat door, grabbed Lu Ning's wrist and said, "I have something to ask you." Lu Ning turned around and looked at him. "Didn't you say you were going out?" Lucien's face stiffened again, but he quickly returned to his original state and said, "It's not important, you get out of the car first." "But I'm going back." Lu Ning had no intention of coddling him. "I went to see Uncle Lu and Aunt Ji earlier. This guy was clearly hiding in the room but couldn't come out. I didn't care about him. I just took the initiative to let him go down the stairs, but he was still playing tsundere with her. It's really when she has no temper. Since he is not here to find her, there is no need for her to listen to what he has to say." "Uncle Li, drive," Lu Ning said to Uncle Li in the passenger seat again. Seeing that the girl really didn't want to get out of the car, Lucien simply went around to the other side, opened the door and got in. Ignoring the girl's glare, he looked at Uncle Lee in the front row and said, "Uncle Lee, right? Can you let me be alone with this girl? Let's talk for a while." Uncle Lee glanced at Lu Ning and said, "Okay, then I'll go down and have a look. If you two are done talking, call me." Lu Ning glared at Lucian angrily and said, "What do you want to talk to me about?" Lucian's expression was not much better. He gritted his teeth and glared at her. "I should ask you this. Don't you have anything to say to me?" Lu Ning blinked. "What do I want to say? Didn't this guy force his way into the car and want to chat with her for a while? How come she has something to say to him? Why did you stay in Yunjing with Song Tingzi if I didn't tell you to stay away from him?" Lucian asked through gritted teeth. "Is that why you got angry and hung up on me?" Lu Ning actually vaguely guessed it. After all, this guy started getting angry and ignoring her when she went to the park with Song Tingzi. Then she made that phone call out of nowhere, and Lu Ning guessed that someone must be jealous again. However, she didn't have any thoughts about Song Tingzi, so she was always very open-minded. Moreover, she felt that Song Tingzi didn't have that kind of interest in her, and the other party probably simply regarded her as a member of the family. "This guy has been thinking wildly all this time. Isn't this enough?" Lucian asked with a gloomy face. "They are two lonely men, living alone in a hotel, and going out to play together. It's hard not to think too much about them." Even though she knew how much he cared about her, she still stayed with him. She clearly wanted to him off on purpose. End of this chapter. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 247. Chapter 247, Coax Him. But Lu Ning took something out of his pocket and said to him, "Reach out your hand." "What?" Lucian looked at the other party in confusion. "Hurry up," Lu Ning urged. Lucian finally stretched out his hand under the girl's gaze, and saw Lu Ning put something with a cold metallic touch into her hand. After Lu Ning removed his hand, Lucian saw clearly that there was a round medallion lying in his hand. "I'll give you the medal from this winter camp," Lu Ning said. Lucian's hand holding the medal paused, and he raised his head and looked at the other party. There was surprise in his eyes, and he couldn't restrain his excitement in his voice. "Why did you give me this?" What he cares about is naturally not a small medal, but the meaning behind the medal given by the other party. After all, no one knows better than him how much effort this girl has put in for this competition. From the perspective of others, they, the top academics, seem to learn everything easily. However, they do not realize that it is because they have put in more hard work than ordinary people. There is no such thing as a talented scholar. He is just a person who has accumulated a lot of experience and has been tempered into steel. A small medal is an honor and an affirmation of her hard work day and night. But now, the other party actually gave him the medal he worked so hard for. Lu Ning, just think of it as just to make you happy. Although this guy's behavior also made her quite angry, she wouldn't care about anyone who asked her to be generous. However, if he couldn't even coax the other party, Lu Ning felt that he might as well continue to be angry. Lucian was startled for a moment, then he clenched the medal in his hand and said, "Lu Ning, I will become better than him. You are very good now." There is no need to compare with others in her eyes. He is who he is, and Lu Ning has never compared him with others. Song Tingzi certainly has his merits, but he is not bad at all. Although he didn't put much emphasis on study before, things have changed now. Lu Ning believes that if he really wants to do something well, he will definitely be no worse than others. "But if I work harder, I might be the one accompanying you to Yunjing this time." What he was most angry about was that he lost to the boy named Song every time. Those things that he was originally proud of were all beaten down in front of the other party and were worthless. But such a person kept standing next to the girl, which put him under pressure. He used to feel that as long as he didn't give up, this girl would agree to him sooner or later. However, now that there is another Song Tingzi, and the two of them live under the same roof and get along day and night, I always feel that this girl looks down on herself even more when there is a better person around her. This made him feel very depressed and couldn't do anything. Lu Ning smiled and said, "It's just a competition. There will be many such opportunities in the future. Besides, you are you, and I have never compared you with anyone. That's because I'm very good." Lu Xian felt the passion in his heart come back because of the girl's words, and Lu Ning's behavior gave him reassurance. This guy is back to his usual arrogant self. "Yes, yes, yes, you are the best. The monthly exam is about to take place again. How are you preparing for this time?" After the previous rounds of monthly exams, Lu Ning is no longer worried that the other party will be kicked out of the experimental class. However, progress is limited. Lu Ning thought she could push a little harder. End of this chapter. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 248. Chapter 248 Confession. Wait, I won't embarrass you. By the way, what's going on with Yushu? How do you know her? She didn't seem to have mentioned anything about Taishu to him. I went to the airport to pick you up the night before last. I didn't pick you up, but I met her. The other party actually tried to sow a relationship between the two of us. Don't you think I am such an easy person to be provoked? I found it on her mobile phone. I took a lot of secret photos of you and that boy named Song, but don't worry, I'll delete them all while watching her. Lu Ning frowned when he heard this and said, I didn't expect that she hasn't given up yet. Did she do anything else? Lu Xian couldn't help but ask after hearing her tone. Lu Ning then told the other party about secretly changing her pen. After Lu Xian heard this, his whole face darkened. I should have called the police directly if I had known. Letting her go so easily is simply too easy for her. It doesn't matter when I hand over the video to the school. I believe the school will give me an explanation if the other party does such a thing. A notification and criticism are indispensable. However, Lu Ning did not wait for the school's punishment. Instead, she waited for Yushu's parents. As soon as Lu Ning returned to school on Monday, her class teacher called her to the dean's office. Li Su accompanied her, thinking that the girl had won a prize in the competition and the director wanted to praise her. However, Lu Ning guessed that it should be related to Yushu's matter. I think the team leader should have reported the matter to the school. Director, do you have anything to do with me? Standing at the door of the office, Lu Ning knocked on the door. Come in. In addition to the director, there is also a strange couple in the office. The director pointed to the couple and said to Lu Ning, these two are Yushu's parents. They want to talk to you. Director, what's going on? Li Su looked at the couple and frowned slightly. Things seemed a little different from what he thought. Teacher Li. I forgot to tell you, during the winter camp, there was a conflict between two students. These two are each other's parents. They want to see your classmate Lu Ning to see if they can resolve it through negotiation. The director explained. Lu Ning, what happened? Li Su glanced at the couple, and then looked at Lu Ning. It was said that there was a conflict, but based on his understanding of Lu Ning, this girl would definitely not take the initiative to cause trouble, so someone else must have provoked her. The other party's parents said they were here to negotiate. It was probably because the other party had done something to the girl, and the parents came to intercede with her. At the end of the day, this girl is still a student. When faced with two adults, she may be forced to compromise in front of them. As a class teacher, he must protect his students. So I asked Lu Ning about the situation as soon as possible. Lu Ning looked at the middle-aged couple. Both of them were well dressed, presumably from well-off families. The man looked arrogant, with a hint of impatience on his face. From the looks of the woman, she is somewhat shrewd. The two of them came here in person, definitely to intercede with Yushu. I just don't know whether the school contacted them first, or whether Yushu took the initiative to confess to them. Lu Ning said, Teacher Li, it's actually nothing. During the exam, Yushu secretly changed my pen to a faded pen. Fortunately, she found out in time. Although I was a few minutes late because of the pen change, it did not affect the final exam at least. After hearing what Lu Ning said, the couple's expressions changed slightly. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is sweet and wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 249. Chapter 249 Feeling Confident. After hearing what Lu Ning said, the couple's expressions changed slightly. The middle-aged man in particular frowned visibly, as if he was a little dissatisfied with Lu Ning saying this in public. The woman looked at Lu Ning with more consideration. There is such a thing. Hearing this, Li Su frowned and looked at the dean and said, Director, a student in our school actually did something like this, and it must be dealt with seriously. Their school almost missed a gold medal. The weight of a winter camp gold medal is equivalent to half a ticket to a prestigious school. This kind of behavior can be said to be quite bad. Hearing this, the man's face became obviously darker, and the woman's face was also a little embarrassed. She looked at Li Su and said, Teacher Li, right? It is indeed the child who made a mistake in this matter. She did not teach the child well. It is all because of us as parents. It's your fault. We came here just to apologize to the student Lu. The woman said, and then looked at Lu Ning, You are classmate Lu, hello, we are Yushu's parents. She was also confused for a moment, and she told us afterwards that she regretted it, and I hope you can forgive her for doing this. Once he said, putting a red envelope into Lu Ning's hand, This is our little thought, just to calm your surprise. I heard that you won the gold medal this time. You are really a smart kid. I think that incident probably didn't have any impact on you. Of course, Yushu must have done something wrong. Don't worry, we will strictly discipline her in the future. Can we just let this matter go? Since she did something wrong, shouldn't she be the one to apologize to me? Lu Ning looked around but didn't see Yushu. She did something wrong and asked her parents to come forward while hiding herself. Lu Ning didn't think that the other party was admitting their mistake. Maybe the other party is still thinking of plotting against her. What's more, if the other party did something like that, it would be too easy for her to let it go with just an apology. If she lets the other person off easily, it will only fuel the other person's arrogance, and she might do something even more extreme next time. As for the red envelopes they took out, Lu Ning had no intention of accepting them. She is not short of money, and even if she is short of money, it is impossible to accept it. It is an insult to her to want to send her away with money. Lu Ning returned the red envelope to the woman and said, I'm sorry, Auntie, I can't accept this. The expression on the woman's face froze, and she quickly smiled and said, That's it, Shushu is too embarrassed to come over because she did something wrong. It's the same for us parents to apologize on her behalf. As for the red envelope, you can just take it. If it's too little, Auntie can give you more. I just hope you can let Shushu go this time. You are now in the second year of high school, which is a critical time. I don't want this matter to affect her study. Just treat it as an uncle and aunt asking you, okay. The woman's attitude was very low, and she was moved towards Lu Ning. A motherly heart that makes people unable to bear to refuse. I just want Lu Ning to let it go, it's impossible. She almost missed the game, so it was unreasonable for her parents to give up the pursuit with a few apology. And judging from the director's intention, it seems that he hopes to make the big issue a small one, otherwise he won't come to her. Lu Ning said, It's okay if I don't pursue the matter, but I hope she can apologize to me in front of the whole school. End of this chapter. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 250. Chapter 250 Public Apology. This, a flash of stiffness flashed across the woman's face. They came here hoping to resolve the matter quietly. If they apologized in front of the whole school, what difference would this make to a notification of punishment? How can their shushu continue to stay in this school in the future? When the man heard this, a trace of impatience flashed across his face and he said, "You little girl, how can you be so unreasonable?" Lu Ning didn't understand, how could he be so unreasonable and unforgiving? It was clear that the other party had done something wrong first, and she just wanted to seek justice for herself. Or, in their eyes, if they put down their dignity and beg, say a few soft words, they should agree not to pursue the matter. But why? If you do something wrong, you have to pay the corresponding price. However, with such parents, it is no wonder that the other party would do such a thing and feel confident. "Uncle and aunt, I'm sorry," Lu Ning bowed towards the two of them. "I can understand your love and care for Shu, but if you are wrong, you are wrong. Each of us should learn to respect what we have done. Take responsibility instead of letting your parents come forward and find ways to excuse themselves. The school cannot punish the other party's behavior, but it must publicly apologize. Otherwise, I can only report this incident and the video captured. Of course, now that the competition is over, it is unknown whether the organizing committee will punish the other party." After finishing speaking, he bowed in the direction of the director and said, "Director, I'm going back to class first." "Hey, this kid." The director wanted to stop her and say something, but Lu Ning had already turned around and left the office. The director had no choice but to look at Li Su, who was aside, and said, "Teacher Li, please help persuade that child. It will not be a good thing for our number 1 middle school if this matter breaks out. Of course, the school will definitely give her an explanation. You let her, don't rush." Li Su opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but because the other party's parents were still present, he finally swallowed the words on his lips and said, "I will persuade her, but this matter is indeed, it's not a big mistake for my classmates, but I still have to apologize." After saying that, he glanced at the other person's parents and walked out. "Director, you have to help find a solution for this matter." As soon as Lu Ning and Li Su left, Yu's father and mother focused their attention on the director beside them, and even the red envelope originally prepared for Lu Ning was stuffed. "It's in the hands of the director. The child did something wrong. We all know that. We will educate her well when we go back." She was also temporarily confused. Considering that her usual performance is pretty good, I hope the school can give her another chance. Don't there are no bad records left on the file. Our child is going to a prestigious school. If the file is left, it will inevitably affect her future school choice. Future. The director hurriedly comforted the two people and said, "Father and mother, please don't get excited. I understand what you said. It's just that there is another classmate involved, and our school cannot just protect it. What's more, just now, student Lu Ning has also agreed not to pursue the case, which means that there will be no punishment and no files will be kept. I just hope that student Yushu can publicly apologize. I think this is also a way." End of this chapter.